All right, what's up, guys? As you can see, I just got done with the training session. It will be up on this video right after the Q&A. So yesterday, I asked everybody to send in your questions, any questions you have about strength and conditioning, fitness, nutrition, whatever it is. I got some good feedback on my Instagram and Facebook. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dive into these questions, and then I'll do the voiceover for the training session that we had today. All right, so first question, Sweet.re1 writes, I'm in school right now for kinesiology, and what you're doing for training MMA fighters is the career I would love to have. That's cool. She said, one question I have is, what kind of advice do you have for somebody like me going into school and just starting out as a strength and conditioning coach? So as far as being an MMA strength and conditioning coach, I would definitely say, if you don't know about the sport of MMA, definitely educate yourself on mixed martial arts. Go to some fights, go to local fights, watch it on TV, rub elbows with coaches and fighters, and get to know and really understand how they are as an athlete and as a fighter. Being a fighter for 8 years, a professional fighter at that, I've learned a lot and I've grown, and I understand how these guys and what these guys go through on a daily basis. So to connect with them as a coach now, it's even better. So definitely educate yourself on this, and then you could take yourself farther and farther with what you're doing. As far as just a strength coach in general, always be on constant self-improvement. You always want to educate yourself. Just because you get out of school doesn't mean that you know everything, trust me. More so, it's more about real-world application and understanding different people and different people's needs and wants, different athletes' needs and wants. And you can't just learn that in a book or in a classroom. So definitely self-educate yourself and make sure that you're going to these seminars, going to workshops, and really getting continuing education to better yourself and getting that experience. Maybe even if that, if you have to go and intern with another coach that you desire or something like that. But I always say you always want to make sure that you're raising your level of education and getting better each day and progressing throughout the year, okay? And the second question kind of goes hand in hand with that. What kind of books would you read or recommend me to read? As far as strength and conditioning goes, the best book for me would be Super Training by Yuri Veroshansky. If you're a strength and conditioning coach and if you haven't read this, you should punch yourself in the face, to be honest. This is a very important book for any strength and conditioning coach or any trainer in general to have. It's all about periodization and understanding modalities, and really getting to the science behind our art of strength and conditioning. As far as like self-help books and things like that, I don't have time to read a lot of times. So, I'm constantly driving, constantly on the move. So audiobooks are really my main thing. But if I were to put a point on one book in general, I would say Jab, Jab, Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk. That's a very good book to have. It understands that it makes you understand that giving is not a bad thing in a sense, and as a personal trainer or as a strength and conditioning coach, you definitely want to make sure that you're giving to your athletes and clients and making sure that they understand that you're there for them. All right. And that's just going to make you a better trainer and a coach, and people are going to want to be with you. People are going to want to train with you and be coached by you, and they're going to hire you. So if you want to be successful, you have to be able to give. Okay. Next question. Let's see. Okay. This next question is from my man, Spartan Health _11. This guy ordered my ebook. He is an avid Daru Strong subscriber, listener. You know what I'm saying? He definitely holds it down. So shout out to him. But he says, hey, coach, 6 weeks out from a boxing fight tournament, how and what would you do to get fight ready? Thanks. So 6 weeks isn't really a whole lot of time to actually put together a full program. Ideally, I would like 12 weeks or 8 weeks out for any type of program. But if you got 6 weeks and they already developed a strength base, I would definitely start to put together a program where they can maintain their strength, and then we're working more on explosive power, speed, agility, things like that, so we can put that in place. So if you develop a good solid strength base, which you should have in the off season or when they're not having tournaments, it'll go easier once you go ahead and go into that power phase. And around 4 to 5 weeks out, you want to really start honing in on specificity of conditioning. So for boxing tournaments, it would be like 3 3-minute rounds with a 1 minute break, things like that. So more specificity of conditioning and making sure that aerobic system is being taxed or being worked on a consistent basis throughout the week. Next question. All right, this one is from Slim Pickens _Meals. Hey, Daru, what is the main difference in strength and conditioning for MMA athletes compared to athletes in other sports? Thanks, man. Appreciate you taking the time to do the Q&A. Okay, so the main difference in what I tell pretty much everybody that asks me is that mixed martial arts is a mixed aerobic system sport. There's many modalities in aerobic system inside the sport of MMA or the competitiveness of MMA. You have to, as a fighter, you have to train all different types of energy systems throughout the week and throughout the day even. So, I mean, you're doing your jiu-jitsu, you're doing your grappling and wrestling, you're doing your boxing and kickboxing, and all these things are different in nature, and they develop a different type of aerobic style. So what you want to make sure that you're doing is you're hitting these aerobic systems on a constant basis, rather than like a football player is more anaerobic in nature, you know. So exactly, you know, what you're trying to accomplish with an MMA fighter is you're trying to make sure that they're getting all of those aerobic systems worked on and optimized for the sport or for the competition ahead. So that's the main difference between, you know, like a long distance runner, which is only aerobic in nature, or football, which is only anaerobic in nature, whereas MMA, mixed martial arts, is a mixed aerobic system. So they have to have a good aerobic capacity. They have to have good cardiovascular health. They got to be able to have muscular endurance, strength endurance for their grappling, and they have to be explosive and powerful. So all these things have to come into play in an MMA fight. Hope that helps. Next. All right, next question from Court Woodward from Instagram writes, what would be a safe way to incorporate multiple workouts a day without destroying your performance? So a safe way would obviously be, you want to make sure that you're getting your adequate recovery in between your training sessions. If that takes you, getting a nap in, or just resting, or, getting an ice bath, something along the lines of that, we want to make sure that we're always recovering from the training session beforehand. Branched chain amino acids, carbohydrates, all post and intra workout. You want to make sure that you're getting these aminos and getting this carbohydrate, getting those macronutrients into the system so your muscles can be rehydrated and ready to go for the next session. Also, you want to make sure that you're alternating your intensity levels and your frequency on those training times throughout the day. So if you're having a hard, high intensity wrestling training session, you want to make sure that your strength and conditioning is more catered to dynamic work or something along the lines of that, so it's not going to, tax out your central nervous system like it did for the wrestling. Alter your training times. If you're doing an hour-and-a-half wrestling session or an hour-and-a-half BJJ drilling, make sure your strength and conditioning is only about 45 minutes to an hour, so you're not killing yourself with the volume. Also, you want to make sure that you're maintaining a solid level of performance throughout these training times. If you see that your performance is lacking or your coordination is off, chances are you are overtraining, so you want to back it down a little bit, or maybe even take a day off the next day. So I hope that helps. Okay, so the last question is from Kevin Alfaro. Hopefully I didn't mess up your name, bro. The question is it okay to use kettlebells for conditioning the day after a heavy lift day? Yeah, it's fine. Just make sure that it's not a heavy kettlebell and you're not going for max reps or max effort. I see a lot of guys doing kettlebell swings and a lot of girls doing kettlebell swings wrong. Making sure you get a proper hip hinge, making sure that your arms do not leave your body. If you're doing CrossFit, that's a different story. But making sure that you're getting a good hip hinge, thrusting the glutes, and making sure that you're firing on those hips and into your posterior chain, making sure you're good and stable. But yeah, definitely kettlebells are a very good tool to have in your arsenal for mobility issues and stability, and definitely making sure that you're doing a proper hip hinge for your deadlift, squats, box jumps, regular jumps, things like that. So yeah, I like it. And also, is it possible to lift for strength while training for BJJ? So yeah, definitely. All my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys, all my wrestlers, things like that, in close quarters, you don't really have to do a whole lot of explosive work, a whole lot of explosive power work, but definitely a lot of isometric strength, a lot of strength endurance, a lot of transverse core work. I like those. As far as exercises go, I like a gi pull-up, where you tie the gi around like a chin-up bar, pull with the gi so you can work your grip strength. A lot of isometric holds, maybe in a with a 100-pound or a 50-pound med ball while doing a walk for a certain amount of distance or time. Also, I like the half kneeling chop and lift for core rotational strength, or the oblique sling. So definitely you want to make sure that your core is strong so you don't get swept. And you make sure that you're getting that isometric strength because you're in close quarters. So you're grabbing, especially if you're in gi. You definitely want to make sure that you're strong in those aspects. All right, guys. So thanks for your questions. I'm going to keep doing this every other week, if not every week. And here's the clip of our training today. It's my off season now, so I'm taking this week. Obviously, last weekend didn't go the way I wanted it to at Battle of the Bay 3. But we're going to come back stronger, obviously. But today we did a lot of different things, a lot of fun things. So you can check this out, and see you next time. Peace. What's up, guys? So 1 week out from Battle of the Bay 3, I'm starting just doing some hypertrophy muscle building for this whole entire week after the meet. Pretty banged up a little bit. I mean, I didn't do as well as I wanted to, but we're getting back to the task at hand. I'm letting go of the barbell for this week and really trying to switch it up and challenge myself with new variations and new things. Right here is what I call a tsunami band push-up. It's really working the intrinsic muscles, the stability of the upper body, and I like doing this because it definitely challenges myself, and it switches things up and makes it interesting. And every time that I get these opportunities to do these things, I want to make the best of it. So hopefully we'll get a little sore tomorrow. Now this is a close grip variation. Now I prefer to do both sides. I like to go wide and narrow just to hit both my chest and my triceps along with my shoulders. So we're hitting all types of anterior positioning, working the press movement, but also making sure that we're working those stabilizers, like I said. Now, I do recommend using some type of wrist wraps because these will jack up your wrist indefinitely. Now, here we're getting back into my bodybuilding style days, where just basically a regular cable fly, and then at the end I'll do like a close grip chest press out, just to finish off my chest. And I like doing these because I'm changing up my tempo, I'm changing up my intensities. It gives me a small break from the high intensity training that I do for powerlifting, but it also has its purpose as far as muscle building goes. Now here's another variation of a row. This is the incline dumbbell row. I like these because it really does hit my upper back. I really feel it the next day, getting that good stretch, making sure we're getting that retraction and protraction through every repetition. And here's another crazy variation of a kettlebell row. This is the bird dog style, where I'm actually trying to make sure that I'm staying straight in line from my back of my heel all the way up to my head, but obviously my mobility is lacking right now, so we're gonna have to fix that. And here's just a standard chin up. I kick my feet out in front, making sure that I'm contracting my abdominals, making sure my core is nice and strong, and I'm going all the way down in a dead hang, none of this half rep shit. And here's another variation of a kettlebell press. Now I did this in a split squat stance. I did it for core stability purposes, and I like the way I have this kettlebell set up on like a front rack position. It feels better on my shoulder. It just feels more functional for me. Oh, look who made his cameo, old Dave over there. But here's another variation. Like I said, I like to do these kettlebell presses, especially with the integration of my core, making sure my obliques are nice and tight. I'm not swaying back and forth. And it's really good for, like I said, stability wise. Here's another kettlebell press variation where the bottom's up kettlebell. This is good for grip strength and just shoulder stability in general. This is the end of the workout, so I'm kind of taxed right now. Obviously, shit's moving all around, but definitely like this variation. I do this with all my athletes and my fighters. All right, so if you like this video, please make sure you subscribe to get new content. I'll be trying to put out each week. It's pretty hard with my hectic schedule, but we'll make it happen in one way or another. I'm going to try to pump out as much as I can for you guys. If you can, please hit that like button and comment so I can get back to you. For online programming, go to darustrong.com, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.